I want to thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity. Um, the paper that I'm presenting is based on a study of a very basic and known popular text in Indian astrology titled the Bṛhatpārāśarahorā Śāstra. It is a significant contribution to genetiology, which is a system that charts out the life pattern of a native on the basis of the planetary placements at birth. What is going to be my focus is basically on the gendered reading, and also on the sections that pertain to what is called the female horoscopy or the Stri Jatak Adhyay. This is a relatively ignored area, though astrology remains as a very popular method throughout the subcontinent, and in the past as well. Studies have shown how in the urban areas, but also as well as the villages, horoscopes were prepared of newborns and charts were prepared for the purposes of matchmaking. My effort is to gender genetiology and see how then particularly the Stri Jatak reading is done. There's a significant emphasis on also seeing how notions relating to hierarchy are inbuilt in this knowledge of Jyotish. The body has come into significant focus in historical and cultural studies because, borrowing from Foucauldian thought, I emphasize that the body is a crucial site for exercising and as well as resisting power. Foucault termed the knowledge of the body as the political technology of the body. So, going on further and looking at how the body is represented and read, and the gaze on the body that we see in genetiology, we can see how there is a panoptic condition of quotidian existence that existed for women as well as men. Even in the what is very fundamental to a chart is the idea of the 12 signs or the rashis, and these are connected. Here we can see with the body, the limbs, with Ayurveda in determining what is the type of energy, with gender. Throughout the text, what we can see is certain what I have termed as social and personal anxieties, which form a matter of in-depth and repeated discussion in the text. This, for example, we can also see in the house or the sthana placements. There are 12 houses, and they indicate certain basic areas, and the placements then are used for reading with reference to that sphere of sphere denoted by that bhava or sthan, that is the house. Something called the Panch Mahapurusha Yoga, that is these conjunctions which lead to five great men. And these I have taken as an example of sort of ideal masculine traits. Even the language of the text is gendered, in fact. And this is something that I'll be able to bring out in a better way in my paper. So most of the reading is, for the native, who is taken to be a man, but at a certain point, the author states that all the same placements are relevant for women as well. However, when certain kinds of placements cannot be applied to a female's chart, then it's taken to mean that these results would be then accrue to the partner of the woman. So the women's reading is in the Stri Jatak section, and it's here also it's stated that the effects described would apply to men as well, but throughout in this chapter, the language and the reading is by placing the woman as the native, as a central point. There are certain areas which appear as to be of prime concern in reading the chart of women, that is physical appearance, Kayapal, there's the birth of children, and the fortune of the husband, the possibility of widowhood, and there are also issues concerning the sexuality of women, including premarital and marital chastity. I try to summarize what are the desirable and undesirable character traits, behavioral patterns, and also physical appearance when it comes to the Stri Jatak. And we can say that she's to be feminine and not masculine, and has to have a steadfast character. What's really emphasized is that she should be virtuous, satya, sadhvi. In the undesirable traits of masculinity, having relations with men before man or men before marriage, then unchaste, being unchaste in marriage, so adultery, being too clever, and being a hermaphrodite, so not showing very feminine traits. Particularly malefic results in the case of women have also been explained as leading to deformity, being poor and not having wealth, quarrelsome, without virtue, there's a great emphasis on children, how many children, and also particularly on having sons. Which is there, separate chapter is there on the causes that lead to the lack of children, but particularly the lack of a son. So, and there are these certain terms that again are used for women, particularly women, barren bandhya, having only one child, kaka bandhya, not being able to conceive, galad garbha. Also, there's a particular emphasis on reading the hands and feet, which also we'll see in the next section. Now, the section on Ang Lakshan Phal basically is a discussion on the effects of the characteristic features of the various parts of the body, in which certain beneficial physical features are that it should be soft and smooth, well developed, so not too thin. And the malefic features then are the opposite of that, as you can read, being hard, dry, coarse, too thin, uneven and irregular, flat, veined, bony, hairy, perspiring, etc. There are also certain symbols that have been discussed which occur on the hands and feet of men and women, and generally some of these are shared. So basically, the symbols connect more with ideas of a hierarchy and being elite and having access to symbols of royalty and wealth and elite status. And the inauspicious symbols generally are animal symbols, which are connected, with a lower state of um, social hierarchy as well. Many of these animal symbols are connected with lower social order. There are also the moles and other spots, the direction of the hair from, and these charts would have been read from birth onwards in particularly elite households, but this system sustains and now it's applied. Astrology has a much more widespread reach now with uh, with all the modern means of communication, and it has reached nearly all social groups um, in the subcontinent. And thus, this uh, knowledge system is something that sustains and is significant to understand how gender and gender notions persist. For me, is seem to point out to a gaze that functioned like a panopticon, the Foucauldian panopticon on the individual. And this assured the automatic functioning of the power hierarchies, the institutions and doctrines, which played out at the level of the body. So, with this, I'll end my presentation, and I hope that the questions would make any area that is not very clear in the presentation more lucid. Thank you very much.